Okay. All right. First things first, you want to get yourself a nice blue pencil, red pencil, something like that. And what I'm using for a sharpener here is just a Faber-Castell. This is really nice. When you open this up, it has like 3 areas to sharpen your pencil. I can show you from the down view like that. So colored pencil and then 2 other tips there. So I usually use the colored pencil, and then you can clean these out very easily by opening it from the other side. So you want a pretty sharp tip. The problem with some of these colored pencils is you're going to have to sharpen them often, so they get dull rather quickly. So I'm just starting with copy paper right here. This is just, you can get this for like $5 at Target or maybe even 3 on sale, Staples, any place they sell paper for your printer. So printer paper is nice to sketch on because it's nice and smooth. That's why I like it. You can get yourself a sketchbook for $5 or $10, relatively cheap. And why you would get a sketchbook is because you can, they give you so many sheets of paper, 100, 200 sheets of paper, so you can just go to town. Reason why I use a blue or red pencil is because it's relatively light. Let's say we're starting. I'm just going to start, and I can make a whole bunch of lines, and if I had an eraser, I could erase that. So I always start with a circle. If you're just drawing a face, usually people get to this point and then they kind of give up because they've drawn a stick figure of some sort. Let's say this is a stick figure of that you drew. So they get to that point and then they just draw a smiley face and then they're done. But instead of drawing a smiley face, I'm going to split this in half. So every area kind of on this is pretty equal. And then I start with the nose feature. So circle, line, and then I always go to the center point. This is where I would draw some sort of nose. And the nose can be any shape. This is an upside down triangle. Everything in drawing is basically shapes and coordination to each shape. So I just kind of filled that in, and I have, from there I can add maybe some sort of circles going on here for eyes. You see how this line splits it, so on the other side of that is where I'll put another circle. So I have 2 circles starting to look like a face with a nose, and then inside the circles is where I'll put another circle. And I usually leave some sort of white in there for like a catch light. So starting with the blue, like I said, you can erase these lines or you can go over them darker if you want, with like a black pencil or a marker or a pen. Doesn't have to be black, it could be anything. So I'm just sort of making a face of some sort just with like shapes. I have 2 circles, I have an upside down triangle, and now I'm sort of branching off this little line here, and I'm wrapping it around and touching this top part. I don't even know what I'm really drawing. I'm just kind of just moving the pencil around. And then from here I will draw another sort of circle or half circle. These are, you can connect the circles if you want, if that makes you feel more comfortable. These are kind of ovals. So this is sort of like a character, mouth closed. You can outline this if you want, kind of leaving a space there, outlined it, and I have sort of his mouth open, and from there I do this little like mountain thing. This comes down and then split. That kind of gives that tongue feature there. Then I'll just take a little bit here, Notice how I'm not really moving my wrist. I'm just going back and forth with the fingers there, and it gives me that. From there, let's say right here is where I want to start. And you notice how I started sort of with the features first, and then I kind of rounded his face. That's another little tip where you just want to start with the features first, and then start making his face around those features. Because if you started with like all this first, then you might not be able to put the features in there. You might go, okay, I wanted his nose to be a little bit bigger than that. This isn't really working out. So I'm just making up a character. This is another sort of half circle. If I completed it, it would look like this. That would be the full circle there. This would be the full circle here, full circle here, full circle here. And you could erase those if it helps you. See all those circles? So I basically made a character with circles and an upside down triangle for the nose. And then let's say we wanted to just put little circle ears in here. I don't even know what you call this guy, but we've made a character just out of circles. And then so I got 2 circles inside there. Next, you kind of have to put a neck if you want to. A neck, you kind of leave a little space there. If you wanted a thin neck, you could go wider if you wanted to. And another great thing about the blue pencil is, like, say you wanted to make a neck wider, you could try it out, erase this if you wanted to. Say I put 2 sort of starting points. I think I'll go with this area here. And I'm going to follow our lines that we made. So this guy's going to have like a really long body. And what I'm doing is putting another little oval here for his body. And if you wanted, say for instance, you wanted this guy to have like, you know, flatter upper body and then it got bigger, so you would just add another circle in this. See how I'm moving my wrist when I do this as well? Kind of letting just by moving the wrist, not just going like this, the wrist kind of allows you to make that circle. So then you would kind of connect that. You connect those points. So he has kind of like a pear shape going on. Did that with an oval and a circle that goes inside of that. From there, I got to make his sort of arms coming up. You see this line in here? I'm just going on both sides of that. So think of 3 lines. This is your stick figure coming to life and making into a character. It's sort of important to know like length of arms. Usually it starts right here would be a circle, another circle for like tricep, bicep, and then your like a forearm there. So you can do that if you want, all with circles. And then hands. Hands would be usually, if you look at these hands, if you think of this hand as a circle here, this is the circle that I'm drawing right now. Oops. Circle, circle. And then each point in a hand would be like just lines. And when you're drawing sort of cartoon characters, they only have 4 fingers. Lines for the fingers. But the thumb is definitely smaller than all the other fingers. But you have to know, if I had my hands out like this, you notice where my hand is. I had my hands open like this. The thumb is going to be right here going in. If I had it this way, the thumb would be out. So his hands are kind of open like this. You can also make these into circles if you want. But let's say the thumb is out and then I just kind of go around them. And then usually there's like a line here for your something like that. And this kind of rounds out too as it's coming out. It's just like a lot of practice with drawing hands, and I never used to be good at drawing hands, but I practiced. And then you kind of break it down into shapes. Once you break it down into shapes, you kind of get the idea of that. And you can start outlining this if you want. You could add some fur to this guy if he is a furry guy. Sort of add little like stuff like that. So we've sort of made a character, got his body in there. Maybe he has, sometimes they like kind of outline this, like his belly would be like skin or whatever, not so much hair there. And then how are you going to make, like what is he doing with his legs? Again, you have circle here, that's where the knee would sort of show up, and then so you can do circles or you can do lines. I'm just doing it real quick. I'll move that up for you guys to see. And then this line kind of leads down into the feet. I don't know what kind of feet he has, but I'm just making kind of like human feet. You can do whatever you want, whatever's in your imagination. This guy is, maybe he wears some sort of shorts. You can outline that real quick with some squares. Whatever you want. You see how many lines I have going on in this because it's just a sketch. It's quick. Doesn't have to be perfect. But we did this from the stick figure that we drew in the beginning. Again, the big toe would be towards the center if you had your feet out like that. I can't really show you my feet, but your big toe would go to the center. Can't really flip them around though, so big feet are always, or your big toe would always be like in the center. So when I draw the big toe, it's sort of like that. And then these are all like that. Just little like mountains there, I guess. So we've drawn a character with blue, mapped it out, just kind of whatever's in your mind. We've drawn our sort of first character, and from this video we'll kind of build on that, and we'll be looking at more shapes of objects, but this is sort of to get you out of the idea that you can't draw to the idea of you can draw. My recommendations for your first video would be to get yourself a blue pencil. I'm sure you have one lying around in your house. If it's Crayola, whatever. Prismacolor is a good brand. Also, Faber-Castell. They make great products if you're looking for colored pencil or just regular pencils from them. I would suggest getting a color pencil. So now if I wanted to start coloring this, these lines would sort of go away after you outline them. So I'll go over that in later steps of how we're going to color some of these things, but this is just the sketching step. Get yourself some copy paper or printer paper or a sketchbook from Michaels or AC Moore for $5. This is an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. That's what people print with. You can get like an 8 by 10 or something if you want to work big like we're doing here. So that's it for this first video. Hopefully you guys were able to follow along. Rewind the video, take a look at some things if I went too fast, and we'll talk to you in the next one. Peace.